My youngest sister, Leah, 16-year-old female, is one of those book talk girlies who's obsessed with mafia bosses, hot villains, and other red flag male leads. She absolutely gushes about those fictional men, to the point where I, along with many others, actually think that it's becoming very unhealthy for her. She had a boyfriend named Alex, 16-year-old male, whom she'd been together with for nearly 3 years. He's a good dude who respects her hobbies, her quirks, and has the patience of a saint. He's one of the few people outside of our family who can calm her down whenever she's having panic anxiety attacks, and he's proven himself to be trustworthy to the point where our parents let them do whatever they want together. The problem began when Alex came up to me back in January. He told me that he's been having troubles with Leah, and he just wanted to let out his feelings about it. Apparently, Leah had been forcing him to learn how to ride motorcycles and bulk up his body, because she's currently obsessed with biker dudes on Instagram. Not only that, Leah has also been forcing him to give her the princess treatment and wanted him to look for a job so he could treat her to expensive restaurants. He came up to me again in mid-February and told me that he and Leah had been fighting because she's been taking not-so-subtle jabs at his physical traits, his height, weight, and even his size. Once again, it was because of Leah's obsession with the men in the books that she's reading. Finally, they broke up just this week. I found out about it at work because Alex called me and thanked me for listening to his vents and rants. I asked why they broke up, and he told me that he's had enough of Leah constantly comparing him to fictional men, and that nothing he ever does is enough for her. It has finally gotten to a point where Leah's subtle jabs became flat-out insults. I came home and found Leah having a meltdown. She told us, me and our elder sister, that she just wants Alex to be perfect for her, and that he's a POS for basically not being able to cater to her every need, bringing her flowers every day, buying her jewelry, dinner dates, etc. She ended her rant by saying that Alex was not up to her standards, and that was the reason for their breakup. I've had enough and told her in the most polite tone I could muster that Alex broke up with her because she's treating him badly. I cited all of the things she mentioned. I didn't tell her the things Alex said to me, and asked her if she does the same to Alex. Since she wants the princess treatment, then does she treat him like a prince? Does she surprise him with gifts? Does she reciprocate his efforts? She didn't answer a single question that I had. I told her that her standards are way too high, and that fictional dark romance books shouldn't influence the way she views real-life relationships. Not only are the men she's obsessed with red flags, but most couples in the books she read have unhealthy dynamics. In the end, she just continued to cry. Our eldest sister pulled me aside and said that I went too far and that I shouldn't force Leah to lower her standards. In my opinion, her standards are kind of unrealistic. I mean, who would want to be in a relationship where only one person is expected to give grand gestures and show extreme effort? Until now, days later, both my sisters are still upset at me. My parents aren't much help since Leah doesn't want to tell them anything. They just know that they broke up. Did I really go too far? I don't think so, but my sisters are really making me feel like I'm the bad guy. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, but let's just all be glad for Alex. Good that he got away. He sounds like a great dude who will make a great girl very happy in the future. Your sister, on the other hand, well, if she keeps on with her attitude, I see her future as a college dropout with several kids from several dads. None of the dads involved, most likely because they are in jail, LOL, struggling to make ends meet, still chasing the bad guys, and wondering why none of them stays and wants to raise her kids while treating her like a princess. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but you need to go to your parents and have a long chat about what you heard from both sides. Explain that you have serious concerns that Leah can't separate reality from fantasy, and it's affecting her ability to have realistic expectations of relationships, especially at her age. If Leah has anxiety/panic attacks, it sounds like she already has a therapist. This is something your parents may need to communicate to that person. But this, at this point, is above your pay grade. Or, now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So you remember how Leah was after that whole breakup mess? Well, things took a turn, and not for the better. Just when I thought Leah might start to see reason, her obsession with those book characters ramped up. She started hanging out with this new crowd at school, and guess what? They're all into the same kind of toxic stories. It's like she's found her echo chamber, and it's only making things worse. But here's the kicker. One of the guys in that group, let's call him Mr. Red Flags, decided he's going to be Leah's new project. He's got that bad boy image down to a T, rides a motorcycle, and has the whole I don't care attitude. Leah's eating it up, and she's convinced he's just like the guys from her books. Now, I've got nothing against someone having a type, but this guy, he's trouble. I've heard stories about him that make my skin crawl. But Leah, she's got stars in her eyes and won't listen to a word against him. It all came to a head at this party last weekend. Mr. Red Flags showed up with Leah, and they were all over each other. Alex was there too, and you could see it was ending the life of him. He still cares about her, you know? But then Mr. Red Flags got into it with some other guy, and fists started flying. It was chaos. Leah was screaming, trying to pull Mr. Red Flags away, but he wasn't having it. The fight got broken up, but not before the cops showed up. Mr. Red Flags bolted, leaving Leah behind like she was nothing. And guess who was there to make sure she was okay? Alex. He's too good for his own good, I swear. After that, you'd think Leah would have seen the light, right? Nope. She's convinced Mr. Red Flags is just misunderstood and needs someone to fix him. She's more determined than ever to be that person. And Alex? He's been keeping his distance, but I can tell he's worried about her. He asked me if I thought he should talk to her, try to get her to see sense. I told him it wasn't his fight anymore, but he's the kind of guy who can't just walk away. So here we are a week later, and Leah's sneaking around to see Mr. Red Flags behind our parents' backs. She's convinced she's living out her own dark romance novel, and nothing I say makes a dent. It's like she's lost in this fantasy world, and I'm just watching it all crash and burn. I'm at my wit's end here. I want to shake some sense into her, but it's like she's in too deep. And the worst part, I'm starting to resent her for it. For not seeing how much Alex cared, for throwing herself into this toxic situation, for making us all worry. It's a mess, and I'm stuck in the middle of it. Thanks for reading this far. It's been a rough week. My friend betrays me by spilling my family secret, so I expose his lies and watch him get expelled instead. We're both 16 years old. For context, I never knew my dad growing up. I was raised by my mom because my dad is in prison for vehicular manslaughter after speeding into a family's car while driving under the influence. I think he's a piece of shoot, but I have always wished that I could have experienced having a dad growing up. My mom only just remarried recently. I have confided in a few of my friends about this, but I guess one or multiple of them aren't really my friends, because apparently this guy who harasses me on a daily basis found out about my dad. He has harassed me for years. I have tried talking to administration, nothing was done. It only made it worse since they talked to him. I've been trying to just focus on my grades and ignore him, but this year, he's in my US history class and purposely sits near me. He was purposely speaking loudly about me so I would overhear it during a class activity. He was insulting the way I looked and making comments about my acne, which I've been treating with Accutane. I pretended like I didn't hear any of it. He must have gotten annoyed that he wasn't getting a reaction, because he then brought up my dad. He spoke louder during this and turned to his friends and said, "Did you guys know that X's dad is in prison for life? Yeah, apparently he got caught for being a kitty diddler." He finally got a reaction out of me because I immediately turned around and said, "Don't talk about shoot you don't know anything about." He then said something to the effect of, "Don't get mad at me. It's not my fault that the only thing you remember about your dad is the taste of his weenie." I'm not usually a violent person, but I lost it during this. I launched myself at him and tackled him to the floor. I feel like I just blacked out for a moment and I couldn't stop hitting his face with my closed fist over and over. I didn't even feel it. I just felt so hurt and angry. I came back to my senses once his friends pulled me off of him while some of my classmates were screaming. I realized what I did and regretted it immediately. Now I'm suspended for a week, and to my surprise, he was suspended too. I don't know for how long. I was really nervous when I came home and told my mom and stepdad about what happened. My mom was upset with me, but my stepdad said he was proud of me for standing up for myself. I don't know whether or not I'm the jerk here. I kind of feel like I am because I hurt someone and because my mom was upset with me. I don't enjoy hurting people. It didn't make me feel any better. But some of my friends and my stepdad told me it was justified. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. OP, you need to seriously talk to your mom about how much this has been affecting you, and you both need to speak with an attorney. Many would take this case on contingency, which means you would pay them nothing unless you and your family won their case and received money. Years of reported harassment going untouched by the administration is insane and unacceptable for any school district. Comment 2. Next time he says stuff, say, no vehicular manslaughter. It's really a shame he didn't take out your family. At least he would have left the world a better place, and we could have been proud of him for that. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So, after the whole fight thing, things got even messier. I was back at school trying to keep my head down, but you know how it is. Word gets around, and suddenly I'm the kid who snapped. Some people gave me this look like I was a bomb about to go off. Others, they kind of respected me for it, which felt weird. But let's talk about my so-called friend. Let's call her M. She's been my friend since middle school, but lately she's been acting strange. I should have seen it coming. M started hanging out with this new group, and they're not exactly the best influence. I guess she wanted to fit in because she did something that really got to me. One day, I'm at my locker, and I overhear M talking to some of her new friends. She's laughing, saying how I totally lost it and how she never knew I had it in me. Then she drops the bomb. She admits she told that guy about my dad. Said it was just a slip, but come on, you don't just slip up something like that. I felt so betrayed. I didn't confront her. What's the point? She clearly doesn't care. But that's not even the worst part. The guy who's been harassing me, he's back too. And he's got this smug look like he's won something. He's been keeping his distance, but I can tell he's planning something. I just don't know what. Then, out of nowhere, my mom sits me down. She's been talking to the school, and they're concerned about me, about my violent tendencies. They suggested counseling, and my mom thinks it's a good idea. I agreed, not because I think I'm violent, but because I just want everyone to back off. The counseling sessions are a joke. The counselor keeps asking me how I feel about my dad, about the fight, about school. I just give her the answers I think she wants to hear. I'm not about to pour my heart out to some stranger. And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, they did. M's new friends started a rumor that I'm dealing drugs. It's ridiculous. I've never touched the stuff, but try telling that to everyone else. The school did a locker search, and guess what? They found a bag of pills in my backpack. I swear I didn't put it there. It had to be M or one of her friends trying to get back at me for something I didn't even do. Now I'm facing expulsion, and my mom is beside herself. She believes me, I think, but there's this doubt in her eyes. My stepdad is trying to be supportive, but what can he do? It's my word against theirs, and with my recent history, it's not looking good. I'm stuck in this mess, and I don't see a way out. I keep telling myself that the truth will come out, that someone will see sense. But deep down, I'm not so sure. It feels like the whole world is against me, and I'm just tired. Tired of fighting, tired of trying to prove I'm not the bad guy. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Thanks for reading. My daughter's ex-boyfriend spreads lies about her, so I expose his manipulative texts to the entire school and watch him get suspended. Fake names, of course. My 32-year-old female daughter, 14-year-old Rachel, has been in a relationship with a boy for about 5-6 months. For context, we have a rule in my house that screens go off an hour before bedtime, phones, computers, etc. This boy, 14-year-old, we'll call him Jared, would constantly get angry at her for having to get off the phone, be it for the rule, to do her chores, or even to use the bathroom. He would demand to stay on the phone and for her to just leave her phone in the bedroom with him waiting there for her to come back. At first, this raised a bit of a red flag because it seemed as if he was being a bit clingy, but I chalked it up to how teens are these days. It then grew to reflect on Rachel's attitude. Anytime she had to do anything that involved being outside her bedroom and being around family, Jared would whine and cry. My husband, 34-year-old male, and I had both mentioned to her that this was becoming an issue because her attitude started taking a turn for the worse. She would become very short and standoffish to anyone in the house, and it came to a point where we decided to take her phone for a day before anyone criticizes me for grounding my kid from her phone. Her attitude drastically improved without her phone for a day, and she actually spent time with the family, and we had a great rest of the weekend together. Yesterday, My husband received a text from Rachel at school saying that she is in the counselor's office. Apparently, Jared was out sick yesterday and had one of his friends pretty much keeping tabs on Rachel because he doesn't trust her when he's not around. She had spoken to another male, and that was enough for Jared's little spy to report that Rachel was being promiscuous. So he proceeded to blow up her phone during her free period and curse her out, telling her she's a promiscuous person because she talked to another male that wasn't him. We have screenshots of the nastiness he spewed at her. Here's where it gets messy. After talking to the counselor, Rachel decided to break up with Jared. I went to pick her up from school so she could take the rest of the day to process her feelings. No sooner than we get through our front door, he messages her saying he wants to take his life. My first thought was that this could be a manipulation tactic to make Rachel take him back, so I told her not to engage with him. Well, then her friends started messaging her that he was telling them the same thing, so I called the counselor back and told them what happened, and they said they would notify his parents. This is where I feel conflicted because, on one hand, they very well could have been empty threats, but as a mother, I would want to know if my child was doing that too. My husband thinks it may cause more drama, but I don't take that kind of thing lightly because of my own experiences with stuff like that. So am I the idiot? ETA. For those asking to involve the police, I've gone that route before with a past friendship that went very sour. And the police in our area basically said, "Hey, don't do that." She then proceeded to make threats against me and my kids, and I couldn't even get a protective order against her. I had to practically hide from the world for 6 months, and then she got bored and left me alone. The school told me they would notify his parents, then if the threats continued, the appropriate authorities. Believe me, I would have loved to send the police if I knew it would actually do anything. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. She was manipulating her. You should keep an eye on the situation and maybe try to get counseling for your daughter. She is not responsible for the guy. You did your part. Where I am from, a young girl got ended the life of by her ex because she kept in touch with him. Every time she tried to cut him out of her life, he would threaten to unalive himself. The last time she tried to put some distance, he ended the life of her. Hopefully, it is not as drastic, but keep an eye out for your daughter and get her counseling so she understands that she isn't his keeper. Comment 2, not the idiot. You're way nicer than me because that would have played out differently at the end. It won't cause drama to notify a parent about their child's behavior and something as serious as unalived. You're doing the right thing. Can you change your daughter's number if he's messaging her on messages just in case? If not, then tell her to block him on social media, even if he is just texting her on messages, so she never has to be involved with him again. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So after we thought the whole Jared situation was cooling down, things got even messier. Rachel was doing okay, trying to keep her distance from Jared. But then we got a call from the school. Turns out Jared's parents were furious. They blamed Rachel for their son's distress and demanded a meeting with us and the school counselor. I was fuming, but we agreed, hoping to clear the air. The meeting was a disaster. Jared's parents were in denial, accusing Rachel of leading their son on and then abandoning him. My husband tried to stay calm, but when they started attacking Rachel's character, he lost it. He told them straight up that their son's behavior was out of line, and that we had the texts to prove it. The counselor had to step in before things got out of hand. Just when we thought we'd left the drama at the school, Rachel's phone started blowing up again. This time it was Jared, apologizing, saying he'd changed. Rachel was torn, but we stood firm on no contact. She blocked his number with a heavy heart. But then, one of Rachel's friends let slip that Jared had started spreading rumors about her at school. My blood boiled. How dare he try to tarnish my daughter's reputation after everything? I wanted to confront him, but I knew that would only make things worse. A few days later, Rachel came home from school, her eyes red from crying. One of Jared's friends had cornered her, saying some pretty vile things. That was the last straw. I called the school, demanding they take action. They suspended the kid, but the damage was done. Rachel was a wreck and I felt helpless. The aftermath was rough. Rachel became withdrawn, her grades slipped, and she didn't want to go to school. We got her into counseling, which helped a bit, but it was a slow process. My husband and I were at our wits' end, trying to support her while dealing with our own anger and frustration. Then out of nowhere, Karma came knocking for Jared. One of his other ex-girlfriends came forward with messages and recordings of him being hurtful. The school couldn't ignore it this time. They suspended Jared, and suddenly everyone saw him for who he really was. It was a small comfort, but at least Rachel wasn't alone in her experience anymore. Things are still tough, but we're getting through it, day by day. Rachel's starting to come back to her old self, and that's all I can ask for. Thanks for reading. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!